Good morning, everyone. My name is Yaron. I'm the music director for the Center for Spiritual Living, and I'm going to start with a little song. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the skies, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you, Yaron. How is everyone? Happy to have us all here together on this Sunday morning, May 17th in the year 2020. Yaron, thank you so very much for bringing us into this service today and teaching us that we have a choice in the world to decide whether or not it's a wonderful world that we live in. So thank you so very much for what you shared with us and for creating the energy that we begin with this morning as we move into our Sunday celebration service. I'm excited for the service that we have today because we have back with us today a fantastic musician, and I'm going to introduce him right now so that you can say hello to him. We're happy to have with us today Diedrich Bonner. Diedrich, are you there? Can you guys?
I am there. I am here. I am here.
Yes,
It's so good to be back home.
it's so good to have. So thank you so much for bringing your light and your life and your fun and your energy and your talent here today to share with us
Of
your
course.
gift. And so
It's my pleasure.
thank you. So I look forward to seeing you momentarily when you come and sing a really beautiful song for the first one and a fun, upbeat one for the second one. And so I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, and I'm the spiritual leader here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. And as I said, it's my honor and my privilege and my pleasure to have join us today as we come together for our Sunday morning gathering virtually today, which I believe makes our 9th online gathering. So a big hello to each and every one of you. I want to invite you to say hello to each other virtually right now as you turn your cameras off, and know that I appreciate you keeping those off until I ask you to turn them on at the end of the service. Many of you may wonder why I invite you to do that, and I invite you to do that so that you to clear up screen space for us for the multimedia service, and that's really the reason why. So take a moment and feel that energy the graphic that we have on the screen right now. And I invite you to take this energy of this graphic, which symbolizes the energy that we allow to come into our crown chakra while we place our hands on our heart and lean towards and say hello to everyone that is here with us today. And so I invite you to take a moment and namaste those in our virtual room, both through Zoom and through Facebook Live. Namaste. The God in me honors the God in you. So as said earlier, we are the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. We're a community that has been together now for a little over 30 years here in the center of Los Angeles. Currently, our physical space is at 1200 North La Brea Avenue in West Hollywood, California. We've been meeting virtually now for 8 weeks ever since this pandemic. And it appears that that will continue for some time. And in as much as I know we each miss seeing each other and being with each other in the physical realm of the building, it's been a great opportunity for us to learn and to grow and to use our talent and our skills and our intelligence and our wisdom in a new way, which takes us really to exactly what we teach here in our beloved community, which is primarily the science of mind, which is a philosophy and a faith and a way of life that is focused on and centered on the teaching called the science of mind, which is a compilation of the great spiritual teachings of the world that was put together in the latter part of the 20th century and latter part of the 19th century. It was published in 1926. Let's go with that, right? And that's what we teach. And the essence of what we teach is that there's only one power that exists in the universe, and that it exists within you and within me. And we both experience it and express it and process it through our mind. And I'm going to speak more about this morning during my message. And so what we practice here is just those components of how we use our mind, how we think, how we believe, how we act, how we react and interact with the very thing itself, life itself, how we use the impersonal spiritual laws of the universe to manifest and co-create experiences in life that are reflective of who we know ourselves to be and our divine nature, because we are one with all that is. And which leads us to our vision statement here at the Center for Spiritual Living, which is we support individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. And so today, on this day, if you're new to who and what we are as a philosophy, faith, way of life, and community, I welcome you into our virtual room and trust that you hear something today that ignites and sparks within you a greater knowing of who you are as a human being having a spiritual experience on this planet, while being a spiritual being having a human experience. So as the founder of our, David Walker, used to say each and every Sunday morning, and I mind to say this, that know it and affirm it with me. We welcome one,
welcome all.
And we welcome all. And so we got to hear somebody doing that because we have somebody joining us that has not muted. So I'm going to invite that individual to mute themselves right now. I took care of that for them. But know that we honor you and your voice, and know that you indeed are an individual that's making a difference on this planet just like the rest of us. One of our rituals that we have on Sunday morning is called calling in the light. It's a ritual that gives us the opportunity to center and anchor ourselves in our divine nature. Light is one of the qualities of the divine that we are each imbued with. And so the purpose of this ritual is to ignite that within you and within me. And so as we light this virtual candle that you see on your screen, we move into the second aspect of our ritual, which is called the flames of faith. And so today we light this candle honoring the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony, which is known as the natural way. We light it for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light this candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light this candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. And we light this candle today for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light this candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. And we light this candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. And we light this candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. And we light this candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And so I invite you to bring into your mind's eye an individual that represents each of these philosophies, these religions, into your mind's eye. And to place your hands on your chest in prayer position as we did earlier. And as we bow and namaste, we honor the God, the light, within each and every one of those individuals, knowing that they represent an aspect of all of humanity, knowing that the divine in me honors the divine in them, which is the light in me honoring the light in them, remembering that there is truly only one light, the light of the divine. We continue to light this candle as the healing candle. And as we light it today, we put into the light our beloved Joanne, whose dear friend Fred Willard passed away yesterday, and we send her love and light and his family as well. And in addition to that, I ask you to take a moment and think of someone that you would like to silently put in of the healing flame, and which may include yourself, so that all in the light may experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine. Yaron is going to guide us in a song called Let There Be Peace on Earth. I invite you to sing along and to see the lyrics on the screen as we use this as a guide to anchor in this ritual that we just experienced.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my soul and vow to take each moment and live each moment with peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you, Yaron. So let's have an affirmative prayer, also known as a spiritual mind treatment. I affirm and declare for each one of us very moment that we know in a greater way before that peace exists now. That deep within each and every one of us is the power, the creative power of life itself. And so I declare and affirm that today is the day that we radiate and choose peace, purposeful energy activating conscious evolution as we continue to navigate life itself. During these times that seem to be unsettling and confusing, seemingly unaware of what the future holds, I know for each one of us that we know in a new way that the power and the presence of life itself, the thing itself, Source, God, the divine, is ever present, is infinite by nature, unfailing by nature. And indeed, if it took on a personal nature, it would be waiting in smiling repose. And so we bring that visual into mind, knowing that it is impersonal, but the energetic field of it is waiting in smiling repose for each one of us, as it says to us, use me. And so we use it in a more awakened state today. We invite into our experience more and more grace, which is an outward reflection of how we consciously use our individualized expression of the only thing there is. Letting this prayer, this spiritual mind treatment, this affirmation take root in our soul. We release it to the creative laws of the universe, knowing it returns to us. And we meet and greet it as we say together, and so it is. As I introduced to you earlier, our guest artist of the day, Diedrich Bonner. He's here to sing a song today for us that we've all heard many times before. But he's going to sing it in his most beautiful, unique manner, as well as it's something that has been requested by several of our members to hear today. So you will be quite familiar with it as he shares his love and his light of this. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the one and only Diedrich Bonner singing Amazing Grace.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Through many dangers, toil and snares, I have already come. 'Twas grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home when we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun we've known last days to sing God's grace, and grace will lead. It will lead lead us home.
Fantastic, Diedrich. Thank you so very much. Thank you for rising up and singing this to us and doing it in that most amazing fashion of a cappella. I know that you've turned your camera off, but I want you to know that we really appreciate you and you're getting applause from all across the internet. And we look forward to having you share your second song with us in a bit. So here we are, May 17th in the year 2020, deep into quarantine, isolation, COVID-19, and life is changing before our very eyes. Here we are, supposedly starting to open up in the world in a new way. And so today I want to speak to us about what state of mind we're engaging in right now. What state of mind do we have as we enter this next week of what appears sometimes to be the unknown? And even though life is headed back to, on some levels, what we knew before, but what are our feelings and emotions and spiritual practices as we move along this journey? And so today I'm going to take us on a journey of multimedia along with my voice. And so I will take my camera dark as we continue on our message for the morning. And so you will follow along visually as that happens. And so I want to remind us that our vision statement for our ministry is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. I believe it's never been more true than it is today for you and I to become more and more aware and clear of our journey of spiritual awakening and how empowered we feel, and to also be completely aware that it's okay if there are moments of not feeling empowered or self-empowered personally. I know, speaking for myself, there have been moments and recently where I want to throw my hands in the air and scream. And so I took myself in the closet and did that. No, I'm just kidding. But it is okay to do that and to just ask ourselves, what do I know to be true as I navigate this journey? And so the journey of my message for us today is going to be an opportunity for us to ask ourselves, as I said earlier, what do we know? What do we believe? And look at some very basic fundamental principles of our philosophy and faith and way of life. The theme for this month, May 2020, is growing forward when you can't go back. In speaking with one of our practitioners this week, we were speaking of how wonderful this image is of this flower that is reaching out and moving to the light and growing forward, even though the receptacle for which it to grow meant for it to grow in a different direction. And I think that that speaks for where we are today, that we have the ability to grow should we choose to do so, and naturally we're drawn to the light. And how do we use that power in life itself? So often in our teaching of metaphysics, we're taught that it's important to go with the flow in life, and to do that from an awakened spiritual perspective, to do that from a perspective of knowing who we are as a divine being and the power that we hold as a mental being. And as I spoke of last week, to use that dance of the beloved between our divinity and our humanity and divinity in a way that causes us to know that deep within us there is peace, and we choose to manifest. But today I encourage us to go beyond going with the flow and consciously choose to grow with the flow, to use our mind and our heart in a way that as we navigate these times, to let it be by choice a time of rising up into a higher vibrational frequency of our divine nature. Last week, our theme was to grow or not to grow. That is the question. And we ended the service last week by all agreeing and affirming, well, that the answer is to grow. That is the answer, even in the times when it appears that something contrary is taking place. And so we ended that service last week with not that as a question, but with that as an invitation to begin to grow into a new state of awareness as we navigate this journey. Grow. What is the definition? Well, it's this. To undergo a natural development by increasing in size and changing physically, progress to maturity. I spoke of that last week, of the natural progression of physical growth, that happens in a natural progression unless there's something to stop that from happening. And then we learned last week that physical growth is not the same as spiritual growth, because spiritual growth requires diligent effort. It requires you and I to use our mind in a way to invoke growth through our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions and our reactions and our interactions in life itself. So today, I want to remind us that growth indeed is an action step, that growth is all about expansion. Expansion of our thinking, expansion of our awareness, expansion of how we use the law of life, and expansion of our emotions as we navigate this journey of life itself today and every day. What growth really is change. It's change that is unfolding within us, that is a direct reflection of how we use our mental power. And the key to that is all about choice. We've all heard that quote from Gary Zukav about choosing unconsciously, we'll get a life of unconsciousness. If we choose consciously, we'll get a life of consciousness. Choosing unconscious is far more painful than conscious. He went on to say, been there, done that. So today I invite you, as we continue to choose to grow, to do so by becoming acutely aware of how we're choosing to be present as we navigate not just this journey of COVID-19, but to navigate life moment by moment by moment. Today, our theme is, where do we grow from here? Where do we grow from here? We are now 9 weeks or more into this, as I've said. We're getting information that talks to us about how we're opening up. If you've been out on the streets at all in the last 48 hours, you'll see there's a lot more traffic. I was speaking with a buddy of mine who had just spoken with a Beverly Hills policeman a couple of days ago, who said that the traffic at a minimum of 40% right now. So activity is happening out in the physical world. And the real question that we get to ask ourselves is, how do we feel about that as we navigate from our old life to our new life? And yes, the interior element and the creative capacity that we have within us has not changed. But let's not kid ourselves. The life as we knew it before this pandemic will not be the life that is in front of us. That because of this catastrophe that has transpired on this planet, this massive change in how we lived our life, there has indeed been a moment that has caused us to shift to that which is new. But just because it's new in this particular manner doesn't mean that the inherent nature that we have within us has changed. We still have the opportunity, as we navigate our journey of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, to be experiencing the mystical. Well, what does that mean? What that means is that we have the ability to look deep within every situation, experience, and opportunity in front of us. To choose to see life from oneness, to choose to engage life in a new way, to choose to consciously not attempt to go back to normalcy as if that was the right way. In other words, to use our mind in a way to hold a vision of the future from a conscious evolution perspective, to use our minds to believe now that we can choose a higher vibrational frequency, not just for ourselves, but for our planet and for all inhabitants on the planet. To choose to live from this day forward a spirit-filled life, meaning a life that is focused on letting our divine out, letting our divine nature guide us. In other words, that peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom that is deep within us to be first and foremost as we take one step to the next step, to the next step, to the next step on this evolutionary journey of being a conscious participant in owning and creating a higher vibrational frequency or conscious in life so that the experience of life reflects it. But for that to happen, you and I have to become reflective and inquisitive. We have to get clear on asking ourselves, what do I believe? And let those beliefs rise up so that we can be introspective in regards to them. And to ask ourselves, what is my experience right now? Meaning that, are we willing to take a self-inventory of our beliefs in regards to what has transpired up until this very moment? And are they thoughts and beliefs that have brought forth experiences in our lives that are true of what we want our future to be? Knowing that we have the power to co-create our experience through our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions and our reactions with the thing itself, you and I have the ability, as stated before, to hold a vision for what is possible for the future, and then to play our role in that through our thinking, through our actions, through the way that we show up, and to know what is possible by using this inexhaustible, unfailing power that gives life to each and every one of us. And for us to remember on this journey that every single thing is energy in life. That everything is energy. And to remember that your thought begins it, your emotion amplifies it, and your action increases the momentum of that evolutionary process that we're seeking to express and to experience. That new world of peace and power and beauty and joy. That our thought begins that co-creative process. And that our emotions, how we feel about it, amplifies this energy. And then our action, how we use it, increases the momentum of its fulfillment. We learned back in April for our theme of seed, plant, grow, that is an example for us to be reminded of how the creative process works in life. We see by this slide that the tiny seed knew that in order to grow, it needed to be dropped in dirt, covered with darkness, and potentially had a struggle to reach the light. And that's true for you and I as well at times, but the light is there drawing us to it. And I invite us to remember the seeds that we planted in April, if we were a part of that, of the things that we desire to experience in May, June, and July, and to remember that a success story is before us if it's not manifesting already, and that every success story is a tale of constant adaptation, revision, and change. I know for myself, and I'm sure it's true for you, and I affirm that it is, that what we have experienced over the last 2 months has certainly been a journey of constant adaptation, revision, and change. But the thing to remember is we are here. We are here and we are thriving, alive and well, alert and participatory. And to remember that that's the same for the future, as Bob Proctor tells us, that change is inevitable, but personal growth is a choice. He's using personal growth in this context the same way that we spoke of spiritual growth last week. That it is a choice for you and I to experience this awakening during this time. And to remember, for that to take place in our life, we must aim beyond our comfort zone. That we must stretch this place beyond what we currently are feeling or knowing, and to trust that deep within us, as we vision for this future ahead of us, filled with love and light and peace and joy, no matter that it may hold for us social distancing, it may look differently than anything we've ever experienced before. It may even be and look different beyond anything we can comprehend, but what we know that deep within us is the power to not only co-create our experience, but the energy to animate into fruition and to reflect who we know ourselves to be. What is required of us as we navigate this journey day by day, thought by thought, emotion by emotion, experience by experience, in essence, step by step by step, is faith. Faith. And to know that there are others that have moved along this journey in life before where grace and faith were required. John Newton wrote of it in the song Amazing Grace, and Diedrich spoke to it, or sang it to us a moment ago in the lyrics. That amazing grace, how sweet the sound. All that you and I need to do to know that we have the capacity to navigate this time is to think of those on that slave ship with John Newton. Sitting, or not even sometimes sitting, being held captive and below the decks of that ship, moving through those most unsafe waters, was to have faith that a better day shall come. To have faith to know that once we surrender to the power itself, that we have the ability to transcend to an experience where grace, that mystical nature of the divine moving into our life and bringing forth an experience, is there for us should we choose to participate in it. Faith. It is required every step of the way. And for many of you who've taken my classes, you know that one of my favorite analogies of faith is the trapeze artist. I jokingly say that it requires a little trapeze artist to put on a cute costume and climb the ladder and get to the platform. And not only must the individual jump from that platform, but there's the moment that you let go and have to have faith that the person swinging towards you will catch you. And yet I think that that's a great metaphor for you and I, that right now we're all in a different phase of this trapeze journey. Some are on the ladder, some are on the platform, some have jumped, some have left home, and some have been caught. Faith is what is required. Well, what is faith? Dr. Ernest Holmes tells us that faith is the power of prayer. That when you analyze faith, you find that it is a mental attitude against which there is no longer any contradiction in the mind that entertains it. Faith is the power of prayer. It's telling us it's that energy that is in our affirmative prayers that trusts and knows and affirms that the creative power of the universe is always doing its part, and that our role in that process of seed, plant, grow is to hold on to an idea that is so steadfast to our spiritual truth that there is nothing that can contradict it. Therefore, our mind doesn't entertain it, and the very experience that we desire is made manifest in our world. But it's important for us to know that the faith itself is that energy that we spoke of earlier. And so he goes on to tell us that unfortunately we also find that there's great faith in fear. In other words, that we hold deep within us fear. And we have faith deep within us that that fear serves us well. But I invite you today to ask yourself, are you using your fear well? I love this animated graphic because it shows this cute woman moving from steel beam to steel beam and moving much like the trapeze artist, but yet with her eyes closed. We can't tell if she has fear within us, but of course she does because she's human. But she's continuing to move from beam to beam, which is the thing that you and I to do every day, is to move from beam to beam, step to step, as we continue navigating this journey of finding our personal self-empowerment in this time, as we continue to consciously, as I affirm, become more and more spiritually awakened, i.e. conscious evolution. But Dr. David Walker tell us fear was just simply our intuition telling us that there was more that we needed to know. So I ask you today, during this time of change and transition and transformation, and certainly what appears oftentimes in the physical realm as uncertain times, what do you fear and why? What is your intuition telling you that there is more for you to know as you navigate this journey? We've heard before that there's nothing to fear but fear is true. On some levels, yes. But as David Walker told us, and I said a moment ago, fear is just simply telling us that there's more we need to know about the very thing we're experiencing, about the very thing that we're fearing, about the very thing that lies before us. But what's really important for us to remember is that it doesn't matter what lies before us. What's important for us is to remember what lies deep within, and to choose to let our faith be bigger than our fear as we navigate this journey, beam by beam, step by step. But also to not pretend like fear doesn't exist, because it's there. It's deep within us. It's an innate physical trait, as we learn here, that we fear the unknown because we fear what we do not understand, which simply supports what Dr. Walker told us. However, knowing or being familiar with something gives us an edge because we already know what to anticipate from the situation. And this knowing is what I spoke of just a moment ago about, that deep within us is the power to transcend all experiences. Deep within us is the power to fine-tune our thinking as a contemplative being, and to remember that this fear that is within us goes back to that evolutionary psychological trait that we have within us, which is just simply one of our most primal and basic instincts. But yet, today, in the year 2020, and yes, we have a pandemic in front of us as well as behind us, we need not live from a state of primal and basic instinct. We need not fear life itself. It's important for us to remember, as Marianne Williamson told us, as evolutionary beings, that our deepest fear in this modern world is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Well, actually, who are you not to be? You're a child. For your playing small does not serve the world. For we are all meant to shine as children do. In this world today, even though we may be housebound, we may be isolated, we may be socially distancing in the future, we may not have the comfort zone of what was as we move forward. But what we do have within us is the deep knowing that we are indeed adequate. We do know that we are powerful beyond measure. And we do know that the light of the divine is there within us, and we have used it in the past to manifest greatness in our life. We're being called to do that again today, to live from this place of knowing that we are brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. And we are a child of God. And so we're being called today to not play small, to find a new way to play bigger and to serve the world. And to remember, as Dr. Holmes tells us, that when one realizes that every single thing is mind, and that nothing moves in life but mind, and that the only instrument of mind is thought, which is contemplation, form or other, that we will see that nothing can permanently heal unless it be accompanied by right thinking. Right thinking is the very thing Marianne Williamson was telling us to do in that quote. And so today I encourage you and I invite you to hear this quote from Dr. Holmes anew, To realize that every single thing is mind, that nothing moves but mind, and that the only instrument of mind is thought, which is contemplation in some form or other. And that we see that nothing can permanently heal unless it is accompanied by right thinking. We all know that healing is revealing. And we're being called in a new way today to heal and reveal right thinking, not only just for ourselves, but all sentient beings and all of humanity, for all of the planet, indeed. And to remember that healing, then, that revelation, is accomplished by uncovering, neutralizing, and erasing false images of thought, and letting the perfect idea reflect itself in subjective mind. In other words, by choosing our thoughts of our perfection and letting them move into subjective mind, then the experiences that you and I have and are caused to in our life, moving as a ripple effect out onto our planet, must be reflective. We're choosing to know, to think, to believe, and to affirm. And so today I encourage you to know and to think accordingly in a way unlike ever before, to know that you are radiant, beautiful, perfect, whole, glorious, divine, complete, and joyful. For you are a child of God, that you are radiant, beautiful, perfect, whole, glorious, divine, joyful, and complete. This is your spiritual truth. And so where do we go from here? From there, from that state of mind, from that subjective state of mind, from a consciousness that is choosing to engage our fears when they show up and convert them to a faith, to live from a place of faith, knowing that the law of life is always working, to choose to know in a new way today that we are here to live our life, and to live our life from surrender, from a state of surrender to that creative power in life, from a state of awareness of knowing who we are and that we play a vital role in the healing of this planet, to know that grace is ready for our thinking and receiving, and that faith is an integral part of who we are as divine beings, walking step by step by step of our journey, being an expression of love, the self-givingness of spirit whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself. And the only way it can do it is through you and through me, and a deep remembrance that the you and the me and all of life is an expression of oneness. Oneness, it's here to stay. And so I encourage us to take a deep breath together and inhale and exhale. And to let this message take root in our soul and exhale. And make a covenant and commitment together that indeed we are here to make a difference. And so it is. To continue on this journey of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, it's my honor and privilege to bring back our one and only Diedrich, who is going to sing a song that's going to give us guidance to how we continue to see life as we go forth. So, Diedrich, hold on. We can't see you, Diedrich. Let's see.
You can't see me?
Let's see. I can't see you.
No. I'm here.
All right. Let's trust and see that we can see you. There we go. I think you're Diedrich Bonner, ladies and gentlemen.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow I've been waiting for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. Just look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Just look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue skies. 'Cause I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. 'Cause I can see all the obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day.
Yes, sir, Diedrich Bonner. I will clap for you, and I want you to know that everyone is clapping from behind as well. It is going to be a bright, sunshiny day in general. Hope he cuts that camera off fast. Don't turn that camera off yet. Stay on just a second there, Diedrich. There you are. I just want to say thank you for being here today. Love having you bringing your light in your life here, and I know that life has been fun for you the last few weeks, and so thank you for bringing your light today and illuminating the world. And you are definitely a ray of sunshine in all of our lives.
Oh, I love you all. This is my second home. I love you guys.
You are definitely a part of us, and just want you to know your background is so chic and elegant. So you know that. Well, thank you. Hope to see you at the end of the service.
Yes,
if not, please know
will.
that we love you and appreciate you, and you are so important to us. So thank you.
Oh, I love you all.
And thank you.
I'll see you at the end of the service.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Bye-bye. And so now is the time, everyone, to move into our conscious giving. It's a time to support our community financially and to continue the affirmation of us being an affirmative, prosperous, profitable expression of the divine. And so the manners in which you have to give today, or you can go to our website, which is CSL-LA.org, and click on Donate tab, or the app in the App Store and do the same, or you can mail a check in to us, as well as if any of those are not perfect for you, you can also reach out to me, and there's my phone number, and I can do that for you. I just want you to know in advance that everything that you give is certainly appreciated and put to good use in not only running the business of the affairs known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, but because we are a tithing community, 10% of every amount that comes in goes back out to make a difference on our planet. And so you indeed are that difference in action. And so I invite you to, let's all take a moment and just hear this affirmation before Yaron plays the song. That I affirm for each and every one of us that we are prosperous by nature, that we are one with the universe, and its nature is that of abundance and prosperity. And so today we each give in a way that reflects our conscious and purposeful commitment to make a difference on our planet. And so we use the law with intention, knowing that its nature is to propagate and multiply. And so we revel in that which we give, knowing it returns to us multiplied abundantly, living as faithful beings. All is well in the world, and here we grow again, growing forward, growing wisely, growing purposefully. And so it is. And I invite you to make your choice of how you would like to give as Yaron sings us in song.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, source will tell me how. 'Cause love is my decision right here, right now.
Thank you, Yaron. Thank you so very much. So an update on what's going on here at the Center for Spiritual Living is we're continuing with our Wednesday coffee. I'd like to invite all of you to please put that on your calendar and take time out in the middle of your week to spend 30 minutes, 40 minutes with us as we come together and just reflect on what is transpiring in our mind, in our heart, and in the world, and have a conversation around that, and then that from perspective, as well as on Thursday evening we come together for what's called Snappy Chat, which is a time to come together and just laugh a little bit and tell some jokes and tell stories and read poetry. We had a very low attendance this week for each of those, and I'm trusting that it is of great importance to us and that will be different this week. So please take time in your day and in your week to support this ministry, to support your minister, and to support each other during these most unique times. I'd also like to take this moment to give a big thank you to our guest musical artist today, Diedrich Bonner, who was just incredible, as we all. He's back on camera there. A big thank you to Yaron Spiewak for working so diligently to make music fantastic here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. It's a big wave. As well as a huge thank you to Smith, our audio gentleman, who works diligently to make sure that we provide you all with the best technology and audio and sound on a Sunday. Thank you so much, Travis. For many of you, you don't know this, but many hours go into setting up this presentation, and Travis is a vital piece of that. And lastly, our one and only Robert Hensley, who you never get to see, but who's a great part of our team, who takes care of us and from not only a social media perspective, but he runs our filter between Zoom and Facebook and keeps all of that going on a Sunday morning, and is just really the backbone of the technology here and keeping me in line. So a huge thank you to Robert Hensley. So right now I'd like to invite you all to turn your cameras on if you like, so that you can see each other. Starting next week, we're going to figure out a way to do a little coffee clatch where we can all come together after the service and act as if we were standing face to face in the room. So some of you, I know I'll need to invite you to turn your cameras. I'll invite you to not turn your audio on, but just your cameras, please, So, Dr. Neil, I'll be right there. So, invite you to do that. And once again, invite you to turn your audio off. I'm trusting most of you can get your cameras on, but if you'll give me just a second, I'm just going to run up the list. So, also, while I'm doing this, I'd like to let you know if there's anything that you would like to have transpire here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles right now via technology. I invite you to send that to me in an email or send it to us in a text. And also to remind you to start to make sure that you follow us on social media. Our Facebook page is Center for Spiritual Living, and our we're on Instagram. You can follow us on Instagram, as well as you can I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, as well as you can there as well. So I'm inviting you all, if you don't have your cameras on and you would like to say that in the chat window, and I'll ask you to turn it on as we move into this next phase of our morning of closing in meditation. Also want to remind you, to the upper right portion of your screen, you can see a grid. If you click on that grid, it'll give you the opportunity to see everyone who has their cameras on. So let's all close our eyes. Just breathing in the experience that we've shared. And I invite you to just sit still in front of your camera, please. And remember that we are at choice. And that today is the day that we choose to step in to evolution consciously. Today is the day that we give ourselves permission to feel the fear and then to listen to our intuition and to use that energy as fuel to move us to faith. Today is the day and commit to a filled life. One step at a time. One breath at a time. One expression at a time. And so where do we go from here? We grow from here. Expanding in awareness. Growing with the flow. And trusting that through each and every change that is in front of us, life gets better and better and better. Because we know who we are. We know who we are. And we live accordingly, as we say together.
So it
And
is.
so it is.